Hello and welcome to Heritage Open Days with Maidstone Museums. I'm Sam Harris, I'm the Collections Manager, and I cover all of the museums in Maidstone, including the Maidstone Museum of Carriages. So we thought that unfortunately with the current medical situation we're not able to open the Carriage Museum. We thought we'd take Heritage Open Days as an opportunity to show you behind the scenes and highlight some of the carriages within the collections and some of the details often visitors don't get to see. So we hope you enjoy looking at some of the surprise things we have here in the museum. And this is a very different type of vehicle in the museum collection. It's very much a practical and communal vehicle. It's called a park drag, and it actually would have been driven by the owner rather than by a separate driver. And this is where the pleasure of driving starts to come into carriage construction. As you can see, it's a massive vehicle, and it would have been used for things like going out for picnics, grandstanding, going to horse races. As you can see, it would have been very useful as almost a built-in stand for going to the races, because you could have people sitting inside. Equally, there's lots of seats all over the top of the vehicle, so you could at one point probably get at least 12 people on or in this vehicle. And it's very much built for entertaining as well. So I'm just going to talk you through a few of the details of this carriage. You see there's a very large storage box on the top. The storage goes that would have been mainly to store champagne and food and things for entertaining, but also you've got these large boxes at the back and the front that also have lots and lots of storage spaces in them too. People often would have probably taken their own furniture if they were going for picnics and things, and sometimes they would have also taken their own servants too. And if we look inside this carriage, then you can see again the internal upholstery is kind of a leathery or leatherette kind of fabric. You've got more storage, you can see the drawers underneath the seats there as well. And then over on the other door there's actually a plate, a brass plate attached, and that gives the weight of the carriage. So we think that at some point this probably would have been transported by train, and that was to give information about the kind of weight loading. We also have a series of vehicles that are a lot less sort of grandiose, they're much more practical and functional vehicles. Often which were coachman driven, kind of like modern taxis almost, and they could have been used by doctors or lawyers or people travelling around town that didn't have their own vehicles. And this is one example. This is a Bow-Fronted Brougham, and this is an interesting example because you can see it's got a lot less decoration on it, it's much more functional than some of the other carriages in the collections. If we look inside, we can see that there's actually a speaking tube that runs from the passengers through to the driver. This was quite a modern invention at the time. This was made in the late 1800s. Before that, people would have, the driver would have had a piece of material or string attached to their button, and the passenger would literally have just pulled on that string to get the attention of the driver, and that's where the term buttonholing comes from. One final detail of this carriage is that it has a cover for the step, so that when the carriage was moving along it didn't get covered in mud, and then the passenger would be stepping mud in and out of the carriage and getting themselves and the carriage dirty. So actually there's a cover that goes over the carriage when the door's shut,